Hi there, Jamie Flares here. I am coming to share some details about the soul guidance work that I offer. So, in this video, I would love to share a little bit about what soul guidance is, the foundations and philosophy of this work, who I am as a soul guide, who this work is for, and what it is like. So, soul guidance essentially is I use this word soul guidance, although it's not a common professional title, because I believe it is the most aligned and appropriate, accurate word for the kind of work that I do. So it's not coaching in the sense that I'm helping you reach a specific destination outside of yourself. It's almost the opposite. I'm helping you reach more deeply into the authentic truth and essence of who you are. So I help guide you in to the deeper levels, the deeper aspects of your being for healing and wholeness. So this work is also not like therapy. I'm not a therapist, although it's similar in the sense that we're working with what's alive for you in the inner world, as you relate to the world around you, your relationships, your work, your health, all of those sorts of things. So it's really it's similar to therapy in that it meets you in those spaces. However, we go beyond talking in soul guidance work, where we're able to access, talking usually helps us access the conscious realm, which is really like the top 2% of our psyches. And the work that I do helps you access the subconscious and the soul level realms so that you can create more meaningful and lasting transformation in your life. So this is really about transformational work. And I use a blend of several modalities, actually. I'm a shamanic astrologer, so I bring that work in, which helps us really figure out and work with the archetypes, the archetypal medicine that you're walking with in this lifetime. I use a variety of energetic and vibrational tools, including sound healing, as well as other energy medicine modalities. I use deep imagery work, so we go beyond the conscious mind, deeper into the psyche in order to work with imagery and the feeling realms and the sensation realms to access more information from our own souls, from the earth, and from what is beyond, from the great mystery, in order to, again, bring about transformation, integration, and wholing to yourself. So that's a little bit about what soul guidance is. I wanted to share just briefly a few of the foundational pieces on which this work is really grounded. So I work with the 4 windows of knowing. So again, we live in this highly, highly rational world where most of the time we're relying on our thinking to do everything for us, where it is really one of the 4 ways of knowing. The other ways of knowing are our sensory knowing, our feeling knowing, and our imagery knowing. And our intuition can come through any of those. So I work with that model, that philosophy of the 4 windows of knowing. I also work with something that I call the circles of sovereignty, which is really a combination of a lot of the modalities that I've worked with through time. And this is actually a piece of my own work. And this really looks at the 4 main operating patterns that we use when we're operating outside of our own sovereignty, our own wholeness. Briefly, those are push, pull, power over, power under. And then we look at this inner circle where what are the 4 operating patterns that we use when we're operating from our wholeness, when we're tending to ourselves. And these are really the 4 aspects of our inner being and aspects of our wholeness. And they have more names than this, but they are the divine feminine aspect of us, the divine masculine aspects of us, the divine kind of parent aspect of us, and the inner parent and the inner child. And then we work with ourselves at the center. We also use that model to learn to relate from the center of our being. So not having to use those aspects, those operating patterns that are ultimately not really serving, that operate outside of our wholeness, and how do we actually operate from the wholeness of ourselves. I also work with paths to the soul. So we work with deep imagery, we work with sound medicine, we work with accessing the deeper parts of yourself through a variety of modalities in order to gain access to your wholeness. We use energy medicine, which I mentioned. I also use embodied movement and creativity. So sometimes I ask my clients to do art or write or move their bodies and move the energy that they're working with or the theme that they're working with through their bodies. Again, we're accessing these deeper layers for meaningful transformation. So who am I? Well, who am I to do this work, this soul guidance work? So I'm a shamanic astrologer. I'm an author. I've also trained in a number of natural healing and alternative modalities. Depth psychology. I'm not a trained therapist, but depth psychology work, eco-spirituality, conscious relating, women's empowerment, shamanic astrology, shamanic high priestess work, ritual, ancestral work. I've been on a deep quest on my own to gather these tools and train in these various modalities. So I bring all of that to bear. I'm also highly intuitive. Some of my gifts are the ability to bring a lot of empathy and a lot of attunement to my interpersonal dynamics. I am experientially focused. I really believe in the power of experiencing something directly for ourselves rather than having someone else tell us what's true about ourselves. I'm very holistic in my approach, so very multi-dimensional, multimodal. I bring a lot of whatever's most relevant and most useful to my clients' experience in order to support them to the very best of my ability. Very high integrity. My compass is always set toward the truth of who I am, the integrity of my being, and how to walk that and be a mirror and a guide for others in that space. So some of the, who is this for? What is this work? What is this work like? So this work is I work with both men and women, and this is for people who are on the path of consciousness, growth, remembering the truth of who they are and embodying that in the world in the ways that they're called. So, some of the specific kind of themes that I work with clients, mending their own, life experiences or past life experiences or lineages. Those are all things that I work with. I work with people around conscious intimacy, relationality, conscious relationships, sacred sexuality. I work with people in womb and birth and motherhood issues and times of transition and initiation. I support people in soul retrieval and soul activation, as well as soul initiations, feminine, masculine work, and all those sorts of things. So let's see who I am, who it's for. What is soul guidance like? So I like to work with people in a period of time, a specific container, where we have time to really work together. So I don't like to do very shallow work, although there are opportunities to work with me in a shorter term period. But the soul guidance work is a deeper container, and we meet regularly on calls where we usually check in verbally. We always begin every soul guidance package work with a deep intake, and I get really clear on what are you working with, what are your goals, what are your desires, what are your pain points, all of those sorts of things. What are we working with? What's here for you? What's alive for you? And what are you desiring? And then we work regularly in sessions, so we check in with each other, what's happening, and there's usually a mix of real responding to the moment, what is present here, what is alive right now, let's meet that, let's go into it, as well as sometimes I'll offer, planned processes, things that I know that are really useful for particular issues and themes and processes and programs. So it's responsive, but it's also kind of wisely orchestrated and curated. Let's see, what else? I also work with my clients between sessions so that, you can check in about integration experiences, what might be shifting, what is up next, as we work through the layers of your deeper world, all of that. So those are some things, we really work with repatterning, so changing long-term patterns in yourself, ways that you walk through the world that you're ready to repattern, relational patterns that you're ready to shift and transform, as well as, bigger patterns that might be from your family, your lineage, culture, all of those sorts of things. We work with mending timelines. We work with restoring wholeness. So this is deep transformational work. It's very individualized and it brings to bear all of these many modalities that I know to be the best for deep transformation and change. So if you have any questions, I would absolutely love to speak with you. You're welcome to send me a message. You're welcome to reach out to me on my website and learn more there, which is sacredhearthealingarts.com. And I would be absolutely honored to work with you if you feel called to this this modality of soul guidance. Thank you so much. Be well. Bye-bye.